Welcome to my website. I decided to name it the Developing Virtual Worlds. I did have a hard time originally coming up with this title, but I'm glad I chose it, as my website isn't just about virtual worlds, it's about the different types of virtual worlds, and I feel like that title is broad enough. The header, I wanted to choose something that was clear, that would show the title properly. Unfortunately, I accidentally added this header to all of the pages, which originally did have their own original photos, but I'm glad that happened because it makes the website feel more uniform, I think, to feel like it has more of a structure. As for the actual introduction page, it is very short, but I believe it gets my point across. The picture below it is someone cosplaying as D.Va from the popular game Overwatch. I found this completely by accident in Weebly's files, and I liked the photo, and I felt it shows another form of virtual world, which is cosplay. So I thought it was very important. The second page that I did was called VR Headsets. Admittedly, this is the obvious choice, but I couldn't make a website about virtual world and virtual reality without mentioning virtual reality headsets. Of course, I mentioned the most popular type of virtual reality headset, known as Oculus Rift, though I also went through the history of how virtual headsets came to be, of how Sega tried to create their own one in 1993. I feel mentioning the history is important because technology is ever changing, and it's important to acknowledge this. The photo below that you see here is originally from the Oculus Rift official website. Below this is a reference section, which is on almost all of the pages on this website. It shows the websites that I looked at to get my information, and they've all been officially Harvard referenced. It is important to reference things, I think. The third page is called Virtual Immortality. Oddly enough, the information I received from this was actually from various YouTube videos that I watched way before I was given this task to do the website. So I was able to use my YouTube binge watching to good use. It talks about how this one boy from China died and they put his name in the game. I feel like that was the first thing that came to mind when I think of virtual immersion, so I had to mention it. Most of the information I received was from various websites, reinstating the same thing, but the one I eventually used as full reference was ModChat, which had the most information, I believe. I also added a picture of the man's name in the game to prove that what I'm saying wasn't fabricated. I went on Google Images and found a very clear photo of it. The next page I called Virtual Immersion. Now this one was also, I also received the idea for this from a YouTube video. I'd recently been watching someone play this game called Amnesia, and I felt it really fit the whole idea of immersion. It was the first game I thought of when I think of virtual immersion, because it's very atmospheric. It's a horror game, but it's not specifically horror at first. It doesn't go out of its way to scare you. It's more like it builds an atmosphere, and I thought that was important to mention because that is a form of virtual immersion, I believe. But I didn't just want to make the page all about my own personal thoughts. I wanted to also add information, so I found a theory known as theory of spatial presence. I got a lot of the information about it from an article titled The Psychology of Immersion in Video Games. I wanted to add a lot of theories and things like that in my website to back up my point that virtual worlds are important. This page is called Virtual Worlds for Children, and it's something I think is usually overlooked. I grew up with virtual worlds, so especially my example, like Club Penguin, and I feel like it's important to acknowledge that they're popular and that they exist, and what some risks of them may be. And finally, I wanted to mention, I looked everywhere and I finally found a university study, so I wrote all about that too, all of the information that they gathered, though I tried very hard not to regurgitate what they said. And finally, the bibliography. This has all of my Harvard referenced links and everything, just from it's a more convenient way to find it. I hope you enjoy looking at my website as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you.